Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so let's do some more heroes, themes, revision, and now we have loneliness. Big one in the novel. It's one that we think about, but remember there are other videos looking at other themes. There we've also got some spectacles and mice and men ones. They're ready for your exam. We'll also have some language ones up for your language exam very soon. So make sure you're working through. Make sure you're doing your best to do your revision whilst you are not in school. So loneliness, let's jump right into it. Many of the characters in the novel appear to live alone. They're separated from other people on their past. Um, and there's that real difficulty in communicating their real feelings, and they often withdraw into themselves. We think about Francis, very much isolated, very much alone. Very much keeps his distance from other people. If we think about Nicole, we learn that she isolated herself. She became somewhat of a hermit, I think is the word Francis describes her as, um, and withdraws again. Larry as well, when we see him at the end, he very much appears to be alone and withdrawn, and keeping himself to himself. Mrs. Belander also, Arthur also. Most of the characters that are sort of prevalent in the novel, they seem to be alone. Whether that equates to loneliness, that's another question, but they certainly seem to be alone. So let's keep going. So at the end of the novel, uh, Nicole is on her own in a convent, away from the friends she's made. She cuts herself off. Um, and I think she admits there that she's a little bit lonely. And it's a forced loneliness because of what happened there. And again, for Larry, throughout the novel, he's got people around him. He's admired. But at the end, he's sad, he's lonely, he's old, he's different. Um, and I think that there is really that's really shown in the novel, is that after everything that he's done, this is a lonely man. Francis is slightly different in that it's not necessarily forced upon him. He chooses that loneliness. He refuses to reveal himself, refuses to talk to people, refuses to engage with anyone. It's this self-punishment, we know, for the crime that he thinks he's committed. And he is one of the only characters that chooses that way. There are people wanting to connect with him. The men in the St. Jude's Club, Mrs. Belander, they want to connect, and he pushes that away, almost like a self punishment. That loneliness is inflicted upon himself. Arthur Riviere, think about that scene when he is drunk, he's alone, he's talking about how it was our war, we were only there, we were terrified. Real loneliness shown there, real isolation from the people around him, that war has done that to him. But often that loneliness is linked to secrets. Arthur there, that secret feeling he has that war was terrible. He never voiced that when he was sober in the club with those other soldiers. It's something that's secret within inside him. Nicole's loneliness linked to the secret of what happened with Larry. Larry's loneliness, the secret of what he does to the young girls. Francis's loneliness, the secret of again what happened, and not helping, and his supposed crime and guilt there. And it's that which keeps them lonely, which keeps them isolated. It's their secret or their hidden identity, perhaps with Larry, which sets them apart, holds them away from other people. Now, Robert Cormier once said, "I've always had the sense that we're all pretty much alone in life, particularly in adolescence." And I think that's really important to remember here. If we look at most of the kids in the rec centre, but if we focus in on Francis, how lonely was he at the beginning? He didn't fit in, he didn't play baseball, he didn't go to any clubs, he didn't really have any friends. And it was Larry, sorry, that pulled him into the rec centre and took away that loneliness, only through an act of himself to give it back. But we see with lots of them when they're young, there is that loneliness there. But that adolescence, that loneliness, it goes throughout the novel and holds on. A little bit of an examiner's tip here. Look at that struggle to communicate. That's something that plays a big part. So Nicole's reaction to the assault, run away. take the pain away, get away from it. I don't want to be here. And the few words that she exchanges with Francis before she leaves adds to that. What she says in that conversation in the school at the end of the novel, in that last interaction, that adds to her despair. That reminder of what she went through and what she had to become and how she had to change adds to that loneliness. And there's a real struggle to communicate that. Francis only returns to Frenchtown as a stranger, filled with the guilt, the self-loathing because of what he believes he failed at. He hates himself and wants to become someone else. Remember, he doesn't use his own name, does he? He uses a false identity with Mrs. Belander, and Mrs. Belander never knows who he truly is. There are very few people who do. And again, that self-isolation, that self-inflicted loneliness. Larry, returning to Frenchtown, no longer surrounded by admiration. He now lives alone in the rocking chair. No table tennis, no dancing, no sweet young things. Very much alone, isolated, forgotten, perhaps, by all those who once loved him. And Arthur feeling trapped because he can't speak about anybody. If you were thinking about how isolation and loneliness plays into it, you could use these four to build up your paragraphs and your structure. But a key quote to remember here: the visit to Nicole's house on 6th Street brought back only loneliness and regret. And remember that loneliness and regret is very much centered around Francis, Nicole, and Larry, but also in terms of the war. And what that's done. Remember, that element of war just sits underneath everything constantly, adding to the trouble. So in terms of revision, think about a couple of things in terms of loneliness. What advantages does this give to Robert Cormier? The fact that there is this lack of loneliness and engagement. Do you think that helps him in terms of the writing? And how does he use it? How does he use it effectively? Does he use it effectively? Specifically look at the characters, the chapters, that are not in the past: 1, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 13, and obviously beyond. Because when we're in the past, it's difficult to see effect of loneliness. We're also often, apart from Francis at the rec centre, there's not much thrown in our face. It's more in the present day where we really see the effects of that and the loneliness really playing in. Okay, so as always, send me questions, send me some example answers of anything you're doing. You can send it to the Google Classroom, or you can send it to my email. If you go to school email and start typing in Harrison, my email should pop up. But I know lots of you have my school email anyway. Or, you know what, even comment below and I will do what I can to respond. Make sure you're revising. Make sure you're really, really working hard towards these exams. It is important. You can do really well. I know you can. I will see you again soon.